Welcome to episode 212. Today I'm interviewing award-winning audiobook narrator Tavia Gilbert. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Tamara Ford, and welcome back to Book Chat here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, as always, welcome back. Here on Book Chat, we get bookish with roundtable book discussions, book recommendation lists, interviews, and more. Be sure to check out shelfaddiction.com for even more content. Before we get started, let me tell you a bit about today's interview guest. Tavia Gilbert is the winner of the 2017 Best Female Narrator Audio Award. She's a producer, a writer, and an acclaimed narrator of more than 500 full cast and multi-voice audiobooks. She's a 9-time Audie nominee, 3-time nominee, and 1-time winner of Voice Arts Awards, and the recipient of 20 Earphone Awards, a Listen Up Award, and 3 Parents' Choice Awards. She's a trusted and sought-after actress for work across every genre, from children's and YA to literary fiction, nonfiction, and genre fiction. Audible even named her a genre-defining narrator. Tavia earned a BFA in acting from Cornish College of the Arts and holds an MFA in creative nonfiction from Vermont College of Fine Arts. She's the co-founder of Animal Mineral Press and the founder of Juniper Street Photography. All of Tavia's social media links are below in the show notes, so if you'd like to connect, you know where to find her. If you'd like to comment on something you've heard during today's episode, please find me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction or call in and leave an internet voice message via SpeakPipe. The links for everything you need are below in the show notes. Hi, Tavia. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so pleased to be here.
Absolutely. I have so many things to ask you today, and we have such a short amount of time. Are you ready to jump into things?
I am so ready.
Okay. So I know you've had a very long career in entertainment as well as narration. Would you briefly share with us how you got into narrating?
Sure. I got a BFA in acting in Seattle, Washington, and thought that I would be a stage actor for the rest of my career. But I moved to Maine to study documentary radio in a little school in Portland, Maine, and ended up staying there for over a decade. And my ambition was to be a professional actor making a living as a performer. So even though I was doing professional theater and on-camera work, I realized that there was just not going to be enough to sustain a life. So I pursued audiobooks very intentionally because it was the highest kind of acting work behind the mic that I could think of. And it combined my love of performing and literature. So that is why I became an audiobook narrator. And I'm so pleased that it worked out, that I had this dream and then it came to fruition.
Wow. So tell me, what do you think is your greatest achievement as a narrator?
You know, the biggest accolade that I've achieved is last year's 2017 Best Female Narrator Audio Award, and winning that was incredible. It was a huge surprise to be nominated, and it was a huge surprise to win the award. And I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to be to receive that distinction in our industry. So while that means a lot to me, I also think when I get an email from a listening fan who says that some of my work has accompanied them in dark nights of the soul, it's kept them company while they're recovering from an illness or an injury, or while they're at home alone while their spouse goes out for a night shift at their work, that is just as meaningful to me because I know what it's like to be a listener who is moved by somebody's performance. I love audiobooks and have for years and years. So the fact that I play that role in people's ears and people's hearts means as much to me as anything I've accomplished that has been recognized on an industry level.
Oh, that's awesome. So since you've had, some great highs, how about lows? You've had a long career. Do you have, a situation that maybe is in your mind about a difficult moment you had as you've become the narrator that you are today?
Yeah, it's a lonely art to be an audiobook narrator. Many of us come from theater and we're used to working in an ensemble, and to move into a solo performance space can be quite lonely. So I remember I was getting divorced and I was starting to work in a home studio, and I was starting my master's degree, which was a writing degree. So I was working alone. That was a hard time, to be so alone in my performance and in my artistic craft. But I got through it, and I am in a happier space in the world. One funny story is that I recorded a book that was a translation, and it was the silliest mistake I could have ever made. But I mispronounced the main character's name throughout the book.
Oh, no.
And my publisher so kindly and gently called me and said, "Beautiful performance. We really love your work. You've mispronounced the central character's name throughout the manuscript, and we need to send you a list of 700 corrections to make to pronounce her name correctly." And I was so mortified and so just humiliated. It was long into my career, and it was a total rookie mistake. And I had no business making that mistake, but I spent 2 days correcting all of those instances of her name, sent a gift basket and an apology card to the publisher to say thank you for bearing with me and helping me fix this mess. And then it won an Earphones Award from Audiophile magazine. So,
wow. What book was that?
It was a beautiful book called La Divine, and it's an incredible story. And you will hear me pronounce her name correctly each and every time throughout the book. So
good deal.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So when it comes to choosing projects, you've got a lot of audiobooks, in your catalog. What do you gravitate towards?
I love nonfiction deeply. I write creative nonfiction, and I love to narrate creative nonfiction. So either a literary nonfiction piece or a memoir, that is what I'm particularly attuned to. I really love wonderful novels, thrillers, especially, that are full of heart and full of character, deeply developed characters. But the genre ultimately is irrelevant to me. If it's beautifully written, if the author has taken risks on the page and put their heart and soul into their work, no matter what the genre, no matter what the time period, or the plot, I am delighted. I want to luxuriate in literature that writers have carefully and thoughtfully crafted. And so I've been really lucky to work on so many beautifully written books where the author is taking a position with courage and authenticity and thoughtfulness. That's where I'm happiest.
Indeed. So is there an author kind of on your bucket list that you kind of really want to narrate something for them and it just hasn't happened yet?
Somebody asked me that recently, and what I came up with is something that I will probably never narrate, which is fine. But the work I love almost most deeply is the work of a British fantasy writer named Susan Cooper. She wrote a series of books starting with The Dark is Rising, and they're from the 70s, I believe, and they're so incredible. And I started reading them and just inhaled them when I was about 12 years old. My father gave me the series for Christmas, and I absolutely love them. I'm probably never going to be the person who's cast to narrate them. I'm not British. They're probably better told in a male's voice, but that's a writer that I absolutely adore. And then I would really, really love to narrate Little Women someday. I would be thrilled to have the opportunity to voice Jo, Meg, Beth, Amy.
I love that story.
Family I think we all adore. So yeah, if somebody wants to cast me to read Little Women, I'd be forever grateful.
Hey, there's always new additions.
Right? Yes, exactly.
Yes. Absolutely. So with, over 500 audiobooks that you've completed, is there any one book or series that you recall that you especially connected to when recording?
Well, my job is to connect to everything that I'm recording. So I can hedge by saying everything I do, I connect to deeply. But I narrate I have narrated 2 titles for my beloved college teacher, whose name is Stephanie Kalos. I've narrated Sing Them Home and Language Arts for Stephanie. She left teaching to become a novelist, and not only is she a writer, she is a fantastic writer. She is one of the best writers I've ever narrated or ever read. And it means so much to me to narrate the work of somebody I cherish so much as Stevie, who taught me how to use my voice. And she was a major voice and speech teacher when I was getting my BFA in acting almost 20 years ago. Not quite 20, but coming up on 20. So it's a huge honor and a pleasure to narrate the work of somebody that I deeply, deeply love.
That's amazing. So when you narrated for her, because she knows you, was she kind of like, here is my work, go forth, I know you will make it amazing, no notes?
Well, sort of, yeah. She does trust my work, and she should, because she taught me how to do my work. And I think she had, in her first novel, Broken for You, it was narrated by Anna Fields, who many listeners will know as one of the most exceptional narrators in all of audiobook history. Anna passed away tragically way too early, and the world was really robbed of an incredible talent in Anna's voice. So I wanted to do Anna justice by following up her masterful performance with an exceptional performance of my own. And I think Stevie might have felt the same way, that she had one of the world's best voices narrating her debut novel. And yet she trusted me to do work that would rise to the bar that Anna set. And I hope that it does.
I bet it does, because you're great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So you mentioned earlier that you do listen to audiobooks for pleasure. Do you have any favorite narrators that you kind of gravitate toward when you look at books?
I do. I actually have a picture of Davina Porter in my recording studio, because there are a number of just transcendent, amazing narrators in our industry, and more developing all the time. This is a great industry that has a lot of room for new talent to show their unique skill set. But while I deeply and dearly love many, many people, Davina Porter to me is the very first narrator I ever heard. And she is my spirit animal. I just think she's so gorgeous and so authentic and emotionally available in her work. So I really aspire to reach the level that she works at every day. And it's been a pleasure to get to know her a bit over the years and get to connect with her on a personal level. She's incredible. And there are many incredible narrators. But she's my one.
Wow, that's awesome. That's very cool that you know her personally as well.
Yeah, well, she came up the stairs at a party that I was at maybe 8 years ago now, and I immediately burst into tears when I saw her, because she is the reason I became a narrator. So I told her, "You're the reason I became a narrator. And I love you so much." And she's patted my hand and she said, "Take your time, dear." Not in an insulting way, but just in a very British, sort of reserved, tolerant, amused way. It was really funny.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that story.
Yeah.
Well, you do have a laundry list of awards, but I would love to talk a little bit about an upcoming award or a recent award that you just received. Let's talk about that for a minute, since it's brand spanking new.
Yes, I'm so honored. I am the 2018 Booklist Magazine Voice of Choice Audiobook Narrator of the Year. And
congratulations.
Thank you. I'm so thrilled. I actually gasped and started crying when I read the email from the magazine announcing that they had chosen me. It is a huge honor, and there are only, maybe a dozen or so narrators who have had this distinction in the history of the audiobook industry. The fact that they chose me as their person is just so humbling and amazing to me. So I'm deeply grateful and so excited. And I just set out every day to do the best work that I possibly can. And I'm glad that people are listening, because I don't get that immediate feedback from an audience as I would in a live theater performance. The fact that Booklist is acknowledging that my work means something to them means the world to me.
Wow. That's so cool. So did you do like a photo shoot and a story and all of that for their magazine?
The magazine article comes out on June 12th. So there will be an article, and I had a great conversation with Joyce Sarix, who's writing the article and is part of Booklist's company. And we had a great talk that was just, it's so meaningful. It's really amazing. I'm delighted to have this accolade. It's just, I can't even exactly express what it means. That I remember being a young actor and a young aspiring actor in little southern Idaho where I grew up. And the fact that people across the country or even internationally are listening to my work and enjoying it means a lot to that little girl from Idaho.
I bet it does. And I think you're well deserving. So everyone, I will have a link for Booklist magazine. If I can locate that exact article, you will have access to it in the show notes, because you should definitely check it out.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So are there any upcoming projects you'd like to let, your listeners know about?
Yes. I can't say everything in the world that I'd like to say about it, but I'm working on developing a project in collaboration with the BBC. Hopefully by the time this interview airs, there will be more information available, but it does involve audio. It is a project that is, I will be performing in as an actor, but I'm also the producer and the creator. And we're talking in the spring of 2018. It's already over a year in the making, and it'll be at least another year before it's distributed and ready to listen to. But I working on this project is sort of like falling in love. I'm obsessed with it. It's all I can think about. I can't wait to wake up in the morning and get back to work on it. And it brings me into contact with amazing collaborators, including composers, playwrights, sound engineers, designers, really incredible people across industries. So I'm thrilled to have the opportunity, and I hope I do it justice. It's a great story that is important and timely and difficult and rich. So stay tuned. I'll tell you more when I can tell you more.
Oh, I can't wait, because that sounds so satisfying to work on something that you feel that passionate about.
It totally is. It totally is. And it's very challenging. It's making me stretch and grow in new places that I have never ventured before. But I feel like I've cut my teeth in over a decade behind the mic and running a small business as an audiobook narrator. So I'm ready to make a bigger leap into unknown territory. So we'll see.
Well, I wish you the best on that project.
Thank you.
So let's listen real quick to the snippet that you provided from the book that you won the 2017 Audie for Best Female Narrator, which is Be Frank with Me. And that's by Julia Claiborne Johnson. So let's take a quick listen to that, and then we'll talk about it after.
Great.
Fascinating. But listen, Frank, gentlemen don't point. Although I guess it's all right to point at mountains. Mountains don't have feelings like people do. You aren't supposed to point at people. How else are your eyes supposed to find them? Not that way. Nobody likes to look up and see people pointing and staring. Yes, that I know from first-hand experience. Have you ever been up there to play in the snow? I asked. Up there? No, I can see it from my school. Just before winter break, they truck snow in from there and spread it on the playground for our winter festival. It's more convenient that way. And to think I'd been surprised people had their drinking water delivered. That sounds like fun, I said. Back in Omaha, we have to get our snow the old-fashioned way. Falls on us out of the sky. Here, when the hills are on fire, the ash falls like that, like snow, or the mashed potato flakes they use in movies as a stand-in for falling snow. Last summer, there was a huge brush fire and no wind, so this giant mushroom cloud of smoke hung in one place on the horizon for a week.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the clip we just heard.
So that's a clip from Be Frank With Me, Julia Claiborne Johnson's debut novel. The story is about Frank, primarily, who is a young boy on the spectrum. His caregiver has been tasked with keeping him company and keeping care of him while his mother, a novelist, finishes her novel. It's a book I really loved and really enjoyed recording, but I didn't know that it was going to change my life in any way. I just did my very best performance and loved it, was grateful for it, and then moved on to the next title. And then it really has changed my life. It was nominated for an Audie Award for Best Female Narrator, which was my career goal. I thought if I can just at least one time in my career be nominated for that distinction, I will be happy. So I was thrilled when I heard that I was nominated, and I told my mother, I'm not going to win, Mom. You know, the honor is in being nominated. Don't get your hopes up. Emma Thompson is nominated, and Juliet Stevenson and Bonnie Turpin and Robin Miles, and there's no way I'm going to win this award. And then I won. And it was so shocking and so amazing that I won. And the reason I won was less to do with my performance, I think, and more to do with the writing. It's beautiful. Frank is a fully realized, authentic, lifelike character with whom the audience has great compassion. And so, like with all great writing, my work was very easy. It's an easy job when somebody's crafted a beautifully told story with fully realized characters. So I really didn't have to do that much to bring it to life off the page, but it was really thrilling to win. And it's a really beautiful, heartfelt, entertaining, provocative, thoughtful story. So definitely check it out. Be Frank With Me by Julia Claiborne Johnson.
Well, definitely, hey, you won. Don't shortchange yourself now. Narration elevates any story. It takes it to a new level. As a listener, I can tell you that.
Well, I love them too, but I will say that I just described to my partner, actually, that when I'm recording a story that is well crafted, it's like hanging out on an ocean liner and just kicking back and relaxing. So
you're like, it's
Julia
so easy.
Really did the work. It's so easy when the book is so wonderful.
So this is a contemporary fiction title, but is it also humor too?
There is humor. There's heartbreak. It's a real mix. I think what Julia achieves is that it's the human experience, which from moment to moment can be full of humor and pathos, and we're just transported in that human experience in the present moment, along with Frank and along with the other characters who populate that story.
Mm-hmm. So was Frank your favorite character to narrate from the book?
Yeah, he really was. I feel for Frank, and Frank is a tender and vulnerable young boy. And I think we all can remember what it felt like to be confused by the world and by other people deciding to live in a way that wasn't the way we were living. And he is somebody that I want to just scoop up and cradle in my arms and protect. And also somebody who I deeply admire because of his unique sense of self and his uncompromising self-expression. I really adore Frank.
Well, I have added Be Frank With Me to my TBR list because of your amazing description of this book.
Yeah, he's very special.
Yeah.
He's one in a million.
Okay. Well, everyone, if you want to check out Be Frank With Me along with me, the link for that is in the show notes as well. Before we go, Tavia, for those that are looking to get into audiobook narration, do you have any advice for them?
Yes. So audiobook narration is complex, and it is also a possibility. It requires exceptional acting skills, small business management skills, mic technique, the ability to network and promote yourself and help people understand how you are unique and distinguished in an ever more saturated industry. There's a lot of competition. It is physically demanding, and it is deeply satisfying. So if people are interested in learning more about the craft of narration and how they might consider whether they have the skill and the affinity for such a craft, they can visit audiopub.org, which is the Audiobook Publisher Association's website. And there's a link called Getting Started that will take readers to a comprehensive article about what it's all about, how they might enter the industry, and what some of the things they should think about include.
That's really good. Thank you so much for that information. I'm sure people will definitely use it.
Good. Very good.
Well, it's been a pleasure. We're going to end things there. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate your time, and I really appreciate what you do, and that you are bringing audiobooks to an audience and promoting the wonderful craft of audiobooks. We couldn't do it without you, so I'm grateful for you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, everyone, you can find Tavia's social media links below in the show notes. Check out her Audible page. You can find all of the audiobooks she's done in the US, and feel free to pick up an audiobook or two, including the one we talked about today, Be Frank with Me. Thank you for listening, streaming, downloading, all that fun stuff. I appreciate you being here, and I will catch you on the next book chat. Take care, everyone.
Thanks so much.
If you enjoyed today's episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that love pop culture, from books and audiobooks to TV and movies. I'll see you next time here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast.